Hey guys, it's Licious Kid from ClimaxCombo, and we're back with another Leaks of the Week. This is the final week for Cinderella Girls, and this is the first week that we start the Charlotte booster packs. This one is indeed a little late. This is from the 13th to the 16th, and that's just because for the past week, I've been really busy with midterms, exams, essays, group projects. I still have a group project due, but I did half of it today, so I'll finish the other half another time, or later today, I should say. But yeah, like I said, I do apologize for that, but nonetheless, I will be doing this. Only 4 days this week because the 12th of October was a holiday, I believe, in Japan. Not too sure what holiday, but nonetheless, I'm not too sure. But only 4 days this week. I think it'll still be a pretty long one just because the final week for Cinderella Girls, so they're still showing off a couple of good cards. But for Charlotte, some really, really, really cool stuff for Charlotte this week. So I hope you guys are excited. And with that out of the way, why don't we get started? So first off is this 3-2 10K double R Jogasaki Mika. Number 5, man, how often do you see number 5 double R? Anyways, Music and Gyaru. She has a continuous ability for every marker underneath this card, she gets plus 2K. And she has an auto ability of when this card is played from hand to stage, she can heal, which is great. And lastly, she combos with Tokimeki Escalate, which is right here. This is the normal version, and this is the hollow version. So what it does is during the start of your climax phase, you can pay cost, which is discard a Tokimeki Escalate from your hand to the waiting room. If you do, search your deck for up to 3 level 0 characters, show it to your opponent, and place them underneath this card face down in any order as markers, then shuffle your deck. I really like this Mika. I think she's really cool. First of all, she heals. I don't believe Yellow has a healer yet. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they do. The level 3 Kirari doesn't heal. I don't think the level 3 Rika heals. So I do believe this is the only healer for Yellow. So that's pretty good. Right off the bat, that's already really good if you're running Yellow. Her Climax combo I think is pretty cool. Because during your start of your Climax phase, you can discard the Flare Trigger. First of all, I guess Flare Trigger. Flare Trigger isn't too shabby. A couple years ago, I don't think it was too popular. But nowadays, with like anti-heal and how fast the meta can be, triggering a Flare Trigger is pretty damn good at the end of the game. You know, that one extra damage that they can potentially take if they do cancel can be quite scary. And on top of the game ending that Weiss Schwarz now offers can be really scary, especially for Cinderella Girls. Like if you're running Yellow, if your level 3 Kirari triggers a Flare Trigger, that's pretty scary. Or the character that received the ability from Kirari triggering a Flare Trigger can be really scary. So I do think it comboing the Flare Trigger isn't too bad at all. I like Flare Trigger. I think it's really good and cool. So first off, her comboing the Flare Trigger is not bad. And what you get out of the Climax combo, I think is pretty cool. It's a pretty defensive card, I'd say. It doesn't game end. It doesn't help you like kill your opponent. It kind of helps you like maintain a board and helps you compress. Because when you do use the Climax combo, do keep in mind you search 3 level 0 or lower characters from your deck and you put it underneath there as marker. That is indeed 3 potential damage that you don't want to take, and you're putting them underneath Mika as marker. So 3 potential less damage you're taking, and in exchange you do get a 16k body because she gets 2k power per level 0 character underneath. Of course, this might not happen if you don't have enough level 0s underneath her, which, you know, I'm not going to say is likely, but it is possible where there may be situations where you might not be able to get 3 characters underneath her because, you know, maybe you don't have many cards in your deck. But also, I think another benefit to her Climax combo is like how a lot of Climax combos rely on you to play the Climax instead. Like sometimes they say like play the one, like, you know, a lot of Climax combos require you to play it. And a lot of Climax combos at level 3 are usually like 1k1 souls. And that kind of bites because sometimes that extra soul can really hurt you because you're overswinging, and overswinging of course makes your opponent have a higher chance of canceling. This Mika, you don't have to play the Climax, so you don't have to give all your extra characters extra soul. Just boom, get the markers, and then voila, you're good to go. Also, you can use her Climax combo. It's not really a Climax combo. It's pretty much Climax combo, I'd say. You can use her Climax combo with like another character that you want to do a Climax combo with, because her Climax is like during the start of your Climax phase, discard the Flare Trigger. Then let's say you like have a level 3 Ranko in the front row, then you can play the book, and then there you go. You're kind of getting like 2 level 3 Climax combos off in one turn, which doesn't really happen very often or at all I can really think of. So it's kind of like getting 2 Climax combos off in one turn, which I think is really cool. So overall, I think she's a really cool card. She heals and she allows you to compress. I like the fact that she combos with the flare trigger. I think it's pretty cool and pretty spicy. And she can be 16k. Having a lot of power nowadays can be pretty good to dodge on reverse double attackers or on reverse clock shoots, on reverse burn ones. This Mika can make it very difficult for your opponent to reverse her. They'll probably have to put in a lot of work to reverse her, or it might be impossible for them to reverse her. If they want to get rid of her, they might have to be forced to bounce her with a wind trigger. And if they bounce Mika, that's not too bad at all, because you still get to play her next turn if they do bounce her, and you get to heal. So overall, I think Mika is a pretty fun card. I think she's fun. I really like her climax combo. I don't think it's the greatest climax combo, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's a lot of fun. And I think Mika is like the cutest Cinderella girl. Probably like top 2 for me, top 3. Maybe she's my number 1. I don't know, but I really think she's super adorable too. So overall, so that makes me a little more biased toward this. But overall, I absolutely love this card. I think it's great. Anyways, let's go on to the next set of cards, Charlotte. So this is the very first card for Charlotte, and it seems to be a theme where Bushiroad, every time they show the new cards, the first cards for the new set they leak, it seems to always be a level 3 double R. Maybe even yellow. Yami was level 3 yellow. The first level 3 they showed, the first card they showed for Cinderella Girls was level 3. So maybe they'll keep showing level 3s from now on for the first day. Anyways, now 3-2 10k double R. What are you thinking all alone? Tomori now. Superpower and Student Council, of course. She has a continuous ability of when you have 2 or more superpower character, this card gains plus 1k. And she has an auto ability of she's a Musashi clone. I'm sure we all know what a Musashi clone is by now, because Musashi has been in Japan for quite some time now, and she is out in English. So Musashi clone. Very powerful card. I'm sure we all know if your series has a if your series has a Musashi clone, you generally run it because the ability is just super powerful. Play multiple Musashi or Musashi clones in one turn can be very difficult for your opponent to deal with that. They might even die this turn, depending on what you mill with the level 3 Musashi clones. So yeah, now should be no exception. The fact that she has the Musashi ability makes her extremely, extremely, extremely playable. If you're running yellow, then she's definitely something you should consider, if not like staple, just depending on what else yellow has to offer. So definitely, I would say a staple level 3 yellow for Charlotte, because it's just the Musashi clone is just so powerful. So powerful. And it's now, man. Super, super cute. Anyways, let's go on to more level 3s. 3295 double R in an apron Otosaka Ayumi, of course, superpower and pizza sauce. Okay, so that's cool. She's now superpower. I thought it was kind of weird where in the trial deck it was like housework and pizza sauce. I was like, what the F? Ayumi's totally a superpower character. Yeah, it's a spoiler, but I mean, she has to be superpower. But at least this one is superpower. Who knows? Well, maybe only certain Ayumis will be superpower, or maybe all the Ayumis in the booster will be superpower. Who knows? But the fact that this level 3 has superpower trait is really good, so she can synergize with the rest of the set. Anyways, onto her ability. When you have 2 or fewer climaxes in your waiting room, she gets -1 level in your hand. When you have 2 or more superpower characters, she gets plus 1k. And lastly, when she's played from hand to stage, heal. Overall, this Ayumi, I think, is super, 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 super solid. I think it's a very good card. Like I said, off the bat, she has the superpower trait, so already really good. Second of all, her first condition, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the level 3 Kirito, because that came out in the new extra booster. The level 3 Kirito is excellent just because of his condition. It makes him very easy to come out at level 2. All you kind of have to do is just like refresh, and then the conditions has been met. Of course, there are times where you can't meet the conditions just because you don't refresh in the way that is optimal, or you just like get unlucky. Who knows? Or maybe you get too lucky, you cancel too much. Lols. Anyways, still a fairly easy condition to fulfill. If you guys look at SAO builds, pretty much every SAO build runs at level 3 Kirito, and for very good reasons, because he's really easy to come out. Well, I guess in SAO's case, he's like the best level 2 option they have, so I mean, I guess that's kind of another reason why. But anyways, still, very easy condition to fulfill, and Ayumi should be no exception. So the first condition is like not even a condition half the time, because it's just that easy to do. Just refresh and boom. Anyways, second ability. When you have 2 or more superpower character, gets plus 1k. That is a complete joke. By level 2, you should have 2 or more superpower characters. If not, you're probably losing the game. If not, you're going to lose. Or you're running a non-superpower deck, which would be weird. And lastly, she heals. So 3 solid abilities come out at level 2, has a pretty big body at 10.5, and heals. So unlike Kirito's like kinda crappy at level 3 just because he's draw 2 ditch 1 essentially. But this Ayumi, she heals. So she has great uses all throughout the game. At level 2 she acts as a big beater and a healer, and at level 3 she acts as a decent beater that heals as well. So overall this Ayumi I would say is definitely a staple card in blue because of how good it is. If she's not staple in blue for Charlotte, then they must have another like really good card to replace her. But overall, fantastic card, and these 2 cards right off the bat a very strong way to start the set. Next card, another very interesting card. I think this card is a lot of fun. So 105k common, the Endless World Otosaka Ayumi, superpower and pizza sauce. Damn, this card's only common. What a cool common. Every series should have cool commons. Anyways, onto her ability. Auto ability, when this card declares an attack with the climax Jumping with Joy, which is this book right here, of course, Climax Common. You may place a top card of your opponent's stock to the waiting room. If you do, choose 1 card from your opponent's waiting room and place it to his stock. And this character gains a falling ability until the end of the turn, where during the start of your encore phase, place this card to memory, choose 1 climax from your climax border and put it to the waiting room, and all players place the top 15 cards to their decks to their respective waiting room. The part where you need to place a climax from your climax border to the waiting room is not caused, so the rest of the ability resolves as per normal if there is no climax present in your climax border. Yes, exactly. I was going to explain that, but that definitely does help. So thank you, author of this website. I still don't know how to pronounce your name. Anyways, so Ayumi, I think she's very interesting. If you guys don't really see how this works, I guess I will do my best to explain it. It can be a little complicated. I think there are many situations where this Ayumi can be useful, but I don't think I can explain them all because we would be here forever, and I can't really think of them all. So I'll only name you the most probable uses of her in my opinion. Anyway, so how her climax combo works is Ayumi, she attacks with the book. Then you put the top card of your opponent's stock to the waiting room, and then you put a card in the waiting room and put it to the stock. Pretty familiar ability if you guys play Love Live or you guys played against Love Live. The extra booster, they got a Eddie that's very similar to this, and there are other cards like this as well, but I would say that Eddie is a pretty common example. You pretty much put a stock in the waiting room, and you put usually, so you put the top card of your opponent's stock to the waiting room, and then you put a card in the waiting room to their stock. Of course, you should probably put a climax. Putting a climax there forces your opponent to pay it out in some shape or form if they do want to get it out, and that might be difficult for your opponent to do, if not possible for them to do, or they might not want to do it, and it would put them in an awkward situation. So, first of all, you put a climax into their stock. Then, at the start of your encore phase, you can put Ayumi to memory, choose 1 climax in your climax border. Of course, that being the book, since you do need the book to climax combo. And then both you and your opponent mill top 15. Now the part here, on the auto effect, the part where it says put a climax in your climax border to the waiting room, I think that's really good, and I think that makes the playability of this climax combo skyrocket. If it didn't have that effect, then I think it'd be really stupid, because at the start of your climax phase, if you and your opponent both milled, and it didn't have to choose 1 climax in your climax border and put it in the waiting room, then it might potentially force you, the player starting the climax combo, to refresh without having having 1 less climax and refresh, because the book would stay in resolution when you guys are milling. But because part of the ability of a part of this climax combo is putting a climax in your climax border to the waiting room is part of the ability, this way, when you before you mill, you put the climax in the resolution back into the waiting room, and then let's say you mill 15. If you do refresh, then you do get to refresh with that climax you played for the climax combo. So I think that's really good. I think that increases the playability of this Ayumi by a lot. But lastly, as the author noted, it is not cost, so you can actually do multiple Ayumis in a single turn, and I think that's where this card gets really cool. So if you have let's say you have 3 Ayumis for whatever reason. So you play 3 Ayumis, they all attack, they all get the first ability off, or you put a climax into their stock. That doesn't really matter since all of them are going to do that, so you shouldn't really bother doing that 3 times to your opponent unless you want to be a dick. But anyways, and waste their time. So pretty much put a climax to their stock, and then next, when at the start of Encore phase, the first Ayumi would put the book in the climax border into the waiting room, and then you guys would mill 15. Next, the second Ayumi's effect would trigger. Yes, you cannot put a climax in your climax border to the waiting room, but that is not part of the cost. Once you have met the condition of the climax combo, which is attacking with the climax combo, the rest of the ability will resolve. Just because it can't resolve one step of the climax, or just because it can't resolve one effect of the ability, doesn't mean it stops. In Weiss Schwarz, the effect will just keep going on until even though it can't meet one condition, the effect will continue, and that's what makes this climax combo very interesting. So one attacks, mill 15, or one attacks, put the book in the climax border to the waiting room, mill 15. Second one, put it to memory, mill 15. Third one, put it to memory, mill 15. Oops, I should definitely do not disturb. Anyways, so that, yes, you can use multiple Ayumis in a turn. And I think the most probable uses for this would be to force your opponent to take a lot of refresh damage at level 3. If your opponent is really compressed, which is definitely likely to happen depending on how good your opponent is or just what series you're playing. If your opponent is super compressed, then they can be really scary. If they have like 20 cards in deck, you play triple Ayumi, you play the book, each one of them mills 15 cards. That's at least 2 refresh damage they're taking because they only have 20 cards left in deck, and they're milling 45 cards. Yes, you are milling as well, but since you have control over this climax combo, if your opponent is like, let's say they're 3-3, and then you play triple Ayumi, and then you play the book. Each one of them is swinging for 2 soul. So if one of them at least sticks, like if one of their attacks sticks, and then they hit 3-5, at the end of the turn you make them mill 45 cards. And if they only have 20 cards left in deck, and then you make them mill 45 cards, that's at least 2 refresh damage. So if they're 3-3, you play 3 Ayumis, play the pants, or play the book. They all deal 2 soul. One of them hits, so they're at 3-5. 2 refresh damage guaranteed. Game over for your opponent because they can't do a thing about that. So that is why I think this Ayumi is really cool. I think with multiple Ayumis, you can force your opponent to take refresh damage. And the refresh damage, as we all know, is uncancelable, and you can actually kill your opponent with the refresh damage, with the forced refresh from Ayumi, and I think that's awesome. The other most practical thing I can see about this Ayumi is just not at level 3, maybe at any stage of the game, level 1, level 2, level 3, making your opponent refresh in uncomfortable situations. Let's say your opponent is early, or let's say your opponent's late level 1, they had a bad turn, they attacked you 3 times, each one of them triggered like a climax. Your opponent doesn't have many cards left in deck, let's say they have like 10 cards left in deck. You look in their waiting room, they only have like 2 climaxes. You saw them triple trigger, so you know there's 5 climaxes out, so you know there is a potential that there are 3 climaxes left in the deck. Then you can play this Ayumi, you can attack, climax combo, you can make your opponent refresh before they even have the chance of paying out the 3 climaxes that are stuck in their stock because they triggered 3 climaxes in their previous turn. So your opponent can't really pay all 3 out unless they like triple backup, which isn't most likely going to happen. If they did, that's probably a good thing, question mark. Anyways, always depends on the situation, but still, you can a situation like that, if your opponent canceled or triggered many climaxes, you make them refresh before they have the ability to pay it out, then it can become awkward for your opponent. Your opponent gets a really bad refresh, maybe they refresh with only like 4 or 3 climaxes or 5 climaxes. It can be really frustrating for your opponent, and can be really hard for them to come back. It might force them to constantly brainstorm. If they can't constantly brainstorm, then they have a potential of taking a lot of damage from your later attacks, not from Ayumi, but from like other characters, maybe like the level 3 Ayumi, because she is attacking for 2 soul at level 2. So something like that. And you can even use it yourself if you do want to get like a quick brainstorm. Like let's say you know that you had a bad like turn 1, turn 2, turn 5, whatever. Let's say you're out all 8 climaxes, you have like 18 cards left in deck. Attack with a couple characters, attack with Ayumi, mill 15, force yourself to refresh, and that way you don't have to brainstorm a million times to force that refresh. Instead, just use a costless climax combo, and you're good to go. So yeah, Just a couple situations I can think of. I'm sure there are more situations where you can use Ayumi to be useful. But of course, I'm sure there will be times where Ayumi will hurt you, the player, starting the climax combo as well. So, yeah, overall, a very, very interesting card, especially for a common. Like, you can't complain. This is such a cool common card. So, I think she's super awesome. I think she's hilarious. I think she's funny. And it's very fitting of Ayumi. If you guys don't know, I'm not going to explain it, but I'm sure, if you guys watch the show, her power makes a lot of sense. So, overall, very cool. I guess, and she also goes to memory, which does increase your compress a little later down the line. And if the set is recollection based, which it can be, then she can help you fulfill that recollection condition. But only shame, I guess, is if you can't constantly spam Ayumi climax combo because they go to memory. So there is going to be a point where you run out of Ayumis. But that's not a bad thing because I don't think you're gonna use Ayumi's ability like 6 times in a game. I don't think you want to do that 6 times in a game. That'd just be really annoying. But anyways, overall, super fun card. That's it for Monday. Probably, yep, 20 minutes already for Monday. Or Tuesday, I should say, because it's only 4 days this week. So off the bat, a very cool start for Charlotte. On to Tuesday. 0025 uncommon, cool high school student Rin, music. If you have 6 or more cards in your hand, plus 1500 power. So if you have 6 or more cards in your hand, she is a 004k. Very easy condition to fulfill because I'm sure we all know in Weiss Schwarz you start off with 5 cards, you draw, you have 6 cards, you clock, you draw 2 more, you're at 7 cards, you play this level 0 Rin, then you have 6 cards in hand, and Rin on the field, that's 7 cards in hand. So turn 1 you can guarantee her ability, and I'm sure at level 0 it's really easy to have more than 6 cards in your hand. If you don't have more than 6 cards in your hand at level 0, you're probably committing too many cards in the field. Or you have a really good back row. Who knows? But still, really easy condition to fulfill. I don't think we've really seen a level 0 beater for blue yet. Yeah, I'm trying to think. But it's been a while since I did Leaks of the Week. So, yeah, I don't think there's any other good level 0 blue beaters we've seen so far. And if they don't get one, this is a perfectly good one you can run because she's 004k. And she's only uncommon, so you really can't complain. A very fine beater. And only uncommon. And she's Rin, who's cute as well, so good card. On to Triad Prism, I think that's her name. 2/2, 7k, uncommon, Kamiya now. Music, for every other music character you control, she gets 500 power, so with full field, she's 9k, before assist. And lastly, she has Hand Encore. Now, I think it's pretty terrible. She's 2/2. I'm sure if you guys keep up with the show, you guys know that I'm not a big fan of 2/2s. It's gotta be really good if it's a 2/2. But this 2/2, not so hot. Only hits 9k power. Yeah, she's got the Hand Encore, that's cool. But most of the time, a lot of 2/1s hit 9k. And if this 2/2 keeps dying, you pay 2 stock for this card and you have to constantly Encore her. Not a really good situation for you to be in. So overall, this now I think is fairly weak. Don't run her. I'm sure there's a lot of better cards you could be running than this now. On to 2135 uncommon Hojo Karen, music trait of course. Continuous ability of all your other music characters get plus 1k, so she is indeed a 1k global. And lastly, she has an auto ability of when your other characters are sent from your stage to your waiting room. And this card is on your backstage, you can pay cost. If you do, place the character back to rest, in its original border back to rest. This Karen is okay. She's a 1k global, so that right off the bat is not bad. It's definitely playable just for that very reason. However, her second effect isn't bad. It's a pseudo encore. We've seen the pseudo encore ability a lot. Like I think SAO has it now. I know Diva has it. Rewrite, the most infamous one, the one that combos with the 2/2, or the one that works with the 2/2, very frustrating to deal with. That's a pseudo encore. Love Live has a pseudo encore if I recall correctly. So lots of pseudo encores running around now. Nothing new. However, those pseudo encores that I've mentioned are good because of the fact that they're costless. If you're using a cost 1 character to do the pseudo encore, you're not getting that much benefit. Like if you use a cost 0 character to pseudo encore like a level 1 or a cost 1 or cost 2 character, that's really good because it's like you're trading a cost 0 character for something that costs more. So in the end, you're winning, or like you're benefiting a lot. Especially if you're saving a cost 2 character with a cost 0 character, that's really good. But when you're sacrificing a cost 1 character to save your cost 1s or your cost 2s, that's definitely not as strong. Especially because she costs 1. I mean, that's a huge difference between costing 1 and costing 0, and like it's just such a huge difference. And like even if you do pseudo encore, you lost your 1k global, so the character that you saved has a pretty high chance of dying, even though you saved it with the pseudo encore. It has a high chance of dying. Like on offense, if it like you pseudo encore your level, let's say you pseudo encore something, it's your turn. You put it back to stand. You move back to the front. You attack. It's like, oh, it lost the 1k global, so it's much weaker. So it has a pretty good chance of dying. So yeah, and then I don't think you want to be running too many of these 2-1s, because then it's like gonna get weird and probably not very good. So overall, I don't think this Cotton is very good. I think it's playable. Like, it's not the worst card ever. Like, yes, it's a 1k global, and yes, you can save your level 3s with the pseudo encore, and that is still pretty good because you're saving a cost 2 character for a cost 1 character. So yeah, it is indeed playable, but I don't like it at all. I think you're better off running better assists, and I might be a little biased because I really don't like Cut-In or Now in the show. I just really don't. I really didn't like them in the show. I think they're awful. So it might make me more biased towards this card. However, like, it's playable, and I'll leave it at that. But I personally am not a fan. I guess it's only uncommon, so I guess you can't complain. Anyways, next up, 001k common working producer music trait. When this card is played from hand to stage, you can pay cost, which is 1. If you do, choose 1 energy drink or stamina drink from your waiting room and add it to your hand. So of course, if you're running a lot of energy drinks or stamina drinks, and you feel like you can't draw into them enough, this producer might be your answer to that. We talked about the energy drink and stamina drink a couple weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago now, and you know, the energy drink is hilarious, and it can potentially have potential, but personally, no, I'm not a fan. But you know, if you do want to run the energy drinks and the stamina drinks, and you want to draw into that, or you want to get them more often, this producer is definitely your answer. He's pay 1, and then you salvage. When he's played from hand to stage, you pay 1, and you bring it from your waiting room and to your hand. So you're still paying 1, 2 plus, which is really good. There's not a lot of ways to pay 1 plus in Weiss Schwarz, and this card does do so. Of course, the cards you're grabbing aren't that powerful, but you know, it is still pay 1 plus, and you can still use these energy drinks and stamina drinks to clock, or you know, use them for other things. So I think it's fairly interesting. Like, even if you're not running any energy drinks, if you're running like a lot of stamina drinks, like 4 stamina drinks, you can still run 1 producer, and I think it'd be pretty good because it's a pay 1 plus on play, which is really strong. So yeah, like I said, if you're running enough of the drinks, you could add 1 producer maybe, and I don't think it'll be too bad. But I don't think I'll be running. If I was building Cinderella Girls, I don't think I'd be using the drinks. Anyways, on to the next card. 00500 common, relaxation time Anzu, music and candy, of course. 500 global for all music characters, and it has an auto act ability of you can put this card to rest. Choose one of your characters, I should say. Give it +1 level and +1k until the end of the turn. However, this card does not go to stand during your stand phases. Anzu, I think, is pretty good. First of all, she's a 500 global for music characters, which is right off the bat extremely playable. And she's red, so if you need that extra red color count, this Anzu will do the job for you. Her act ability is a little weird. It gives a pretty marginal boost. You can put her to rest, and you give a character +1 level and +1k. That's a pretty big boost for just simply tapping a character, especially in a character that already gives 500 power. We really don't see that. However, of course, the downside is Anzu does not go to stand during your stand phases. And if she does not stand during your stand phases, she's never going to stand, because that's the only way you can stand your characters. You have to stand her with an ability, and I don't think that's not too common. So once you rest her, then she's going to be rested forever. So of course that is the downside, but she does give a marginal boost. So if you're willing to do that, then this Anzu can be pretty clutch in those certain situations. If you really need that on reverse ability, maybe with something like the 3-2 Anastasia that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Definitely, if you're running like red-blue, you need that Anastasia to get that extra bit of power. It's level 3, so if this Anzu doesn't stand up, oh well, doesn't really matter. Tap her, give her that extra boost, and then voila, there you go. So overall, Anzu, I'd say, is definitely playable, and she's only a common, a very good common. 500 global for a common, and pretty clutch secondary ability if you're willing to kind of lose out on Anzu. is pretty good. And even if you do use her ability and she stays in rest, that's not too big of a deal because she still gets the 500 global all the time, so that's really good. I guess the only downside is like if you want to do a brainstorm or you want to tap both your back row. If the brainstorm is needed, if you need to brainstorm and the brainstorm requires you to tap both your back row, then this Anzu is going to be really bad because she's going to be in rest and then she'll never be able to stand. So that would be really annoying. But you know, that is just depend on the brainstorm you run. So yeah, overall Anzu really good. Next up, we have 001500R challenging the present Otosaka U Superpower and Student Council. Oh boy, this card is something else. He is... I do not know where to start with this U. This is the very exciting card of the week. Anyways, first we should get to his effect. Continuous ability, Recollection. When this card is in your memory, all players will not take any damage from their respective opponent's character's auto abilities. That, like, holy shit. Anyway, second ability, how does he get there? When this card is reversed in battle, you can pay cost, so just pay one discard a card, and pay one discard. If you do, search your deck for up to one superpower character, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you are level 2 or lower, place this card to memory. This U, man. So right off the bat, his first ability, I'm sure you guys already seen this card if you guys play JP. But anyways, this card is something else. When he dies, or when he's in memory, no players take damage from auto ability. So no flare trigger, or no burn on cancel, like no bullshit Musashi abilities, because this is an auto ability. Do keep that in mind. So none of that. No burn on cancel, so no 2 Love for Darkness Yami bullshit, no Musashi bullshit, no like burn on attack like Tachibana, which is not bullshit because I run her, so I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. No Tachibana bullshit. No, no on reverse ping, no on reverse attack, no on reverse burn, no on attack burn, no on cancel burn, and am I missing anything else? No ClimaxCombo burn, no burning, and no cancel burning. So that's just crazy. Like the meta nowadays revolves around so much burning, like 2 Love for Darkness, Yami. You cancel, eat 3 damage, 1 at a time. Oh, what the hell? Like, that's BS, man. You don't take that, you don't care about that, you don't care about Musashi clones, you don't care about Marika. Well, Marika can still double attack you, so you don't care about, but you don't care about the on attack burn. So he stops a lot of things. Like Girlfriend Beta, the green-blue build is dependent on the Pumpkin level 3 that does, like, I forgot the cost, but you burn 5. So they're very reliant on that to game end. 2 Love for Darkness, I'm sure we all know, is very dependent on the level 3 Yami to game end. If you play this U against 2 Love for Darkness, their level 3 is literally a bunch of vanillas. Like, Yami just becomes a on-play draw 2 ditch 1 and hexproof. Like, oh, no ClimaxCombo. This is awkward. So they can't even do that against. So 2 Love for Darkness is completely screwed. And just like decks that are dependent on game enders that are like that do burning, they're completely screwed against this U, like Ilya, stuff like that. But do keep in mind it's only from auto ability, so it does not stop on a double attacking, because double attacking is not an auto ability. It's actually another attack. He doesn't stop attacks, so he's still susceptible to auto from double attacking, and you're still susceptible to clock shoot because getting clock shot is not considered an ability. It's just moving a character from field to clock. So you still are susceptible to those 2 forms of game ending. But that being said, it's still really good because a lot of strong sets right now are very dependent on burning in some shape or form. So like that, just like this card alone makes Charlotte super interesting and super cool. But of course, this is really weird. Like, why would they give Charlotte this U? Because day 1, it's like, oh my god, now Musashi clone, excellent. Like, Charlotte has a pretty strong game end already because of level 3 now. Day 2, bam, U. Oh crap, we can't run our U's and we can't run our nows together because that's anti-synergy. If you have this U in memory, this now is a 3-2 11k vanilla because she still gets her first ability off, but she's a vanilla. Because you can't burn your opponent with now. So it's kind of like, what the heck? That's so weird. But I still think that's really interesting. So his first effect It's super powerful in certain matches. It's super powerful. Like I said, To Love Your Darkness, a very prime example. They're level 3, completely screwed against you. Of course, To Love Your Darkness still has all the other bullcrap like anti-salvage, and they have the or the Mekong combo, which is very powerful. But still, taking away To Love Your Darkness level 3 game, very very good. And that's just one case. There's plenty of cases where he can screw up your opponent's level 3 game plan. SAO, no Xenon example. Anyways, how he gets to memory is really good. Like, it's not hard to get into memory. It's super super good getting in memory. Because when he gets reversed, which is really simple, you just pay 1 and discard. So you get to. It's just like the cost for him to get to be sent to memory is generic. It's just a pay 1 discard. It's a little slow because he does have to get reversed in battle, but like that's not a problem. When he dies, you pay 1 discard, which is not a heavy cost. You search for a superpower, like we said, is 90% of the series, so grabbing a superpower is really good. And then he gets sent to memory, and then voila, you have anti-damage. Of course, do keep in mind you have to be level 2 or lower for this ability to activate. And I think they did this because imagine, let's say you're a Charlotte player. Let's say he didn't have the last ability of where you have to be level 2 or lower to place into memory. Let's say you're level 3 and your opponent is level 3. Your opponent has 3 level 3s in the front row. You play 2 nows, and then you play the level 3, or you play the level 0 U. Your nows attack, they do the Musashi effect. Your second now attack does the Musashi effect. Then you suicide your U into your opponent's level 3, and then you send it into memory, and then your opponent can't burn you. That'd be really OP because you can still burn, and then your opponent can't burn. That'd be so OP if you can do that. It's like only I get to game end really OPly, and you can't game end me because I'm the one who chooses when the game ending stops, you know? So because of that, I think that'd be too strong. So because of that, I think they added the second ability or this last condition because that's just too stupid. That'd be so stupid if the Charlotte player can do that. It'd be like Charlotte's the only deck that can game end, but you can't game end against them. That'd be like, of course, not considering double attacking or burn or clock shoot. But anyways, still, I think the fact that he does have that second ability does keep him a little more tame and does keep him a little more balanced. So overall, I think it's an excellent card. Even if you have 1 in memory, like if you run 4 U's, that's not bad because as long as 1's in memory, it gets the anti-damage ability. But even like throughout the rest of the game, if you don't want to send it to memory, he still acts as a searcher on reverse because you can still keep searching your deck. Because even if you're like if you're level 2, you can still use his ability when he gets reversed in battle. You can pay cost, which is 1, pay 1 and discard, and then you send it, and then you search for a superpower, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. You can still use that ability even if you aren't even if you are level 2. You just can't send them to memory, but still, you still get a pretty good search off you. So overall, this U, super interesting. So I think with this U, I think the set can go in 2 directions. One direction would be a normal deck with like your generic game ending, like a lot of strong decks right now have really strong game ending, and I think that's one path Charlotte can take. One that consists of level 3 nows, and I'm sure the set will get more game enders. So one normal build with strong game enders like level 3 now, etc., etc. And then there will be another build that consists of this level 0 U, and just cards that don't really game end, but cards that are more focused on healing and compressing, like level 3 Ayumi. Well, level 3 Ayumi is good in all builds, I'd say. So level 3 Ayumi, but I would say level 3 Ayumi is especially good in the heal/compress build that I think you would be focused on. You can run like level 3 Ayumi because level 3 Ayumi allows you to heal starting at level 2. And if your opponent can't really game end you because of you, then it's going to be really hard for your opponent to actually kill you if you're going to start healing at level 2 with something like level 3 Ayumi. So I think that's like 2 builds it will go. One normal build with like your typical game enders, and another build that's more focused on healing, canceling, and compressing with cards like level 3 Ayumi. Maybe the Pizza Sauce event, because the Pizza Sauce event does, search out 2 cards from your deck. And there'll be more cards to come where I think backs up my line of thought. So overall, this U, very It's just such an interesting card. It's like, oh, Bushiroad, it's like, oh crap, we messed up, boys. We made too many strong game-ending cards, and it's getting really frustrating to play this game because when I'm level 3 and my opponent plays 2 Yamis or 3 Yamis, then it's like, what am I gonna do? So I think they're trying to tone down the game ending, and this U is a very interesting response to that. I wonder if this U will shake up the meta because, you know, there's no side decking in Weiss Schwarz. So I wonder if he'll shake up the game to the point where people will actually change their decks to counteract this U. Maybe people will run more healing cards. Maybe people will run less burning cards. Perhaps people will run more double attackers. Maybe double attackers will be more popular. Like maybe all the Love Life decks will go back to the 3/2 double attacking Muse because not a lot of people run that anymore. But it might come back because, you know, double attacking does get past this U. Maybe Clock Shoot will be the new very powerful game end in this game because, you know, Clock Shoot doesn't stop Clock Shoot, so maybe Clock Shoot will become more popular. Who knows? We'll have to see. But I think just U alone makes the set extremely interesting and extremely spicy. And I think I've talked about U long enough. Yep, very long. Anyways, another card that I think is going to help the whole compress slash heal build is this Now. This Now is another very interesting card. 00-1500R, Gazing at the Sky, Tomori Now, Superpower, and Student Council, of course. Continuous ability of your other character in the middle border of your center stage. Gets plus 500 power, and her Brainstorm is very interesting. Where you can pay 1, put Now to rest. Mill the top 4 cards of your deck and place into the waiting room. For every climax amongst those cards, choose one of your characters and gets a falling ability until the end of the turn, where when this character reverses his opponent in battle, search your deck for up to 2 superpower characters, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then discard 1 card from your hand to the waiting room, then shuffle your deck. This Now. Very interesting. So I'm sure we can all tell, but this is a plus Brainstorm because you pay 1 and you place it to rest. So usually when you place them to rest, usually a plus Brainstorm. So pay 1, put it to rest, you mill 4. If you hit 1, you choose a character, and when that character reverses his opponent character in battle, you grab 2 characters from your deck, add them to your hand, then discard a card. So you do plus because you grab 2 and you discard 1. However, since you still get 1 in the end, you do potentially plus 1. So there are upsides and downsides to this Brainstorm. I would say the upsides to this Brainstorm is that you have a bit more option with this Now. When you do successfully Brainstorm, and let's say you successfully reverse your opponents, you grab 2 and you ditch 1. Grabbing the 2 allows you to, you know, of course, have more options. You can grab any 2 characters, any 2 superpower characters that you want, and that's really good. And in the process, you get to discard 1 card from your hand, which isn't too bad at all. Discarding a card allows you to discard excess climaxes, or if you want to change or something, it allows you to discard the change target into the waiting room. So there's a lot of benefits. You search to and you discard, both of which are benefits in my opinion. The downside to this is that the Brainstorm is slow. It's not immediate. You don't get the effects. You don't get the benefits of this Brainstorm immediately, and that's one of the beauties of like plus Brainstorms. Like when I'm playing Love Live, it's like I'm going to Brainstorm, pay 1, rest my Umi and my, I don't know, level 0 Eddie Assist, mill top 4, I hit a climax. Okay, the card I search is going to adjust my play because now like I have access to my entire deck, and you know it changes my play dramatically depending on how many cards I hit with the Brainstorm and what is on the field and what is in my deck. It dramatically changes how I'm going to play that turn. If I don't hit any climaxes, oh well, you know, I'll just go on. However, this Now, you can't really do that because you can't just be like, Brainstorm, oh, I hit 2 climaxes? Oh wait, I can't search. I have to kill my opponent's characters first to search, and then I get the benefits. And that it's slow because because when you do give the character the ability to get the plussing ability off, you have to reverse the opponent's character first, but as we all know, after battle phase is encore phase, and then it's your opponent's turn. So the 2 characters that you search with Now's ability, you can't even play them the same turn because it's your opponent's turn right after you reverse your opponent's characters. So it's not fast, and so like I think the biggest downside to this is that it's not immediate. You don't get the immediate benefits, and I think that's a huge downside. Second of all, you have to reverse your opponent's characters. You have to, and there's going to be situations where you can't. Most of the time you can at least reverse one of your opponent's characters, but let's say you hit 2 climaxes. That's definitely possible. You hit 2 or 3 or 4 climaxes. 4 doesn't really happen, but definitely hitting 2 or 3 climaxes does happen quite often. If you hit 2 or 3 climaxes and only like one of your characters are able to reverse your opponent's character, then only one of them gets the benefit, unlike a typical normal plus brainstorm. Like let's say you hit 3 climaxes, you get to search 3 cards. If you hit multiple climaxes and you can't reverse multiple characters, then you don't really get that much benefits to this climax. Also, you have to reverse an opponent's character. If you can't reverse any of them, then you brainstormed for 0 benefit, and that's a pretty big downside. Also, if your opponent doesn't have any characters, then you have no choice. Then you can't possibly plus at all. You are reliant on your opponent to actually having a character, and your opponent not having a character on the field is actually quite possible, or it's possible where your opponent only has strong characters on the field, and like let's say they only have like 2 characters in the front row. If those 2 characters in the front row are too strong, then what are you going to do? So those are the downsides to this now. Oh, I guess another plus side to this now is because you're searching 2 characters every time you do successfully reverse and you successfully get the climax off, then you're compressing your deck by 2 cards. Like let's say you hit 3 climaxes and you reverse 3 of your opponent's characters. That's pretty huge because you get 6 characters in your deck, you add them to your hand, and then you discard 3 cards. Well, I guess you're adding 2, discard, 2, discard, 2, discard. You're doing that. But still, that's 6 characters out of your deck. That's a huge amount of compress that you are getting with now. And like I said, I think a compressed build is very possible with this U, because I think if you go like a heal compressed build with U, I think it's super possible because your opponent can't game end like normally your opponent's game ending options are limited. So because they're limited, a heal compressed build is definitely possible, and this now helps that playstyle, because every time you do successfully brainstorm, you compress in a way that your opponent can't really do as well, because this is like the only brainstorm in existence that is like this. And because this now allows you to accelerate your brainstorming if you successfully get her ability off, makes you, the Charlotte player, less likely to take damage than your opponent. And I think that's really awesome. So overall, I think this now is really interesting. It definitely has a lot of benefits, but it definitely has a lot of downsides. This card is extremely new. We have nothing to judge or base this card off of. But so like in the end, it's really hard to tell. Like on paper and on practice is always 2 completely different things. So on paper, it's like definitely 50-50. But in practice, it might be really good. And of course, it is extremely dependent on how the rest of the set is. If the set is super weak, like low power, then this now is just going to completely suck, because you can't ever kill anything. However, if Charlotte is able to manage big numbers, then this now's playability, of course, skyrockets. So we'll just have to see. But right off the bat, I guess we have 2 pretty big beaters. The 3-2 now herself. She hits 11k, so that's not too bad. And the level 3 Ayumi hits 10.5, and she can't come out at level 2. So she is a pretty big beater for a level 2 card. So far we have some pretty big beaters, but those are level 3 cards. So, that's not really fair to judge. So we'll have to see where this now goes. But I think it's really interesting, and I definitely think it's worth trying out and experimenting with when the set comes out. And the art is really cute. So that's it for this card. Oh man, another long one. Anyways, next one, 002K common. I'm not going to bother pronouncing that. Vocalist Sada Shane. Music. Continuous ability of your other character in the middle border of your center stage. Gain hand encore. I think this character is definitely playable. I think she has a really good ability. The only the center character in your front row gains hand encore. I think that's super powerful. Like let's say you have like a level 3 Ayumi at level 2. She's in the middle, and you have this Sada next to her. This Ayumi has hand encore. This Ayumi is already pretty strong, and giving her hand encore makes her all that much more difficult to get rid of. If your opponent tries to anti-change her, and if their anti-change is like something like Nisekoi's anti-change or the new Guilty Crown's anti-change, you can just simply hand encore her to keep her alive. And I think that's really good, making her more resilient to anti-changing and just more resilient in general. So I think this Sada is really good for that very reason. A little situational, yes, but I think it's really good in certain situations. Of course, the big downside to this card is that she is music trait, so she has no synergy with any other card. You can't search her with Ayumi, or I'm sorry, you can't search her with Now. You can't search her with You. You just have to draw into her, and if there's a card that relies your entire field to be music characters for them to gain benefits, this Sada would deny that condition because she is not a superpower character. But like I said, in certain situations, I do think she can be really powerful. So maybe running, I would say it's totally player's choice if they want to run this card. If they would, I would say run 1 or 2 max. Definitely not more than 2. But I would say 2 or 1, I think is pretty good because I think this card is really good. Anyways, let's go on. More Cinderella Girls. 1045RR. Ooh, this Minami. I remember this one. This one's really good. Music and sports. She has an auto ability of when a climax is played onto your climax border, this card gains plus 1500 power. So any climax, do keep that in mind. She climax combos with Everybody's Leader, which is this pants right here. So when this card reverses his opponent in battle and you have the pants, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 music character amongst them, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, discard any remaining cards to the waiting room, then choose 1 character and it gets plus 2k power. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, I had to get some water. My throat is getting extremely parched. Anyways, this Minami, I think it's a fantastic card. Like I've said in many times, many powerful series have 1-0 climaxes that plus you and that are costless and that can generate you advantage. And for example, like Nisekoi, Girl from Beta, To Love for Darkness, you know, it's not coincidence that all the strong sets have really good climax combos that pluses you for no cost that are tied to 1-0 characters. Oh, Shimakaze, of course, another one as well. It's not a coincidence. It's very powerful. If your series has it, that's definitely a very good thing. This Minami, or like when we were looking over Cinderella Girls, I was like, man, Cinderella Girls has a little bit of everything. They have like pay 1, clock themselves, plus they have runners, they have really good level 3s. All they're missing now is a good 1-0 climax combo that pluses them. And here it is. And of course it would be in blue. Blue has already proven to be a strong color, but this is like the deal. I don't even know what to call it, but this is definitely the card that ties it up and definitely proves that I would say blue is going to be the main color, if not the strongest color for Idol Master Cinderella Girls. She's very weak, of course, so that's a bummer. However, when you play Climax, she becomes a 106k, which isn't too shabby. But also, her Climax combo, I would say, is really good. Combos with the pants. Pants isn't too bad, especially if your pants has a good. If your pants in the series, it has a very strong Climax combo, much like this Minami. Then the playability of it goes way higher. And this Climax combo is very good because when you discard reverses opponent battle, you can look at top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 music character to your hand, then discard the rest. Then you choose one of your music characters and you choose 1 character and it gets plus 2k power. So you reverse 1 character, you look at top 4, you add 1 to your hand, discard the rest, and then you give another character a big 2k power. 2k power is a pretty substantial boost. So with multiple Minamis, yes, she's really weak, but if you use multiple Minamis, then the Minamis, the second and third Minami has a higher chance of successfully going off. If one goes off, the other one has a higher chance, and if you have another one, that one has a higher chance because it just kind of starts snowballing. Like if you have 3 Minamis and your opponent has like a level 0, a level 1, and a level 0. One Minami kills a level 0, you pump the Minami fighting the level 1, then you attack with the other Minami that's attacking a level 0, and then you pump the Minami the second time that's going to fight the level 1. That's a 4k boost, and the 1k 1 soul is a 1k itself, so that's like a 5k boost. So on offense, at the very minimum, these Minamis are 107Ks with her climax combo because she gets plus 15 and then she gets a 1K boost from the gate or from the pants. And let's say you have two 500 globals. She's a 108K for no cost. That's pretty damn solid. Yes, of course, it's very likely that your opponent has a backup that will kill her, but can they back up all three characters? Potentially, yes, but there's most likely you'll be able to at least kill one character cleanly. And if you can kill at least one character, then the second or third Minami has a really high chance of killing your opponent's character because the 2K boost is just so strong. Like let's say they're all 108Ks because the gate or the climax and her ability brings up to 107K. You have two 500 globals, 108K. If one Minami kills an opponent's character, the other Minami will be a 1010K, and that's really hard for a lot of level 1s to deal with. And so that's just super strong. She's super weak on defense. Yeah, she's paper thin on defense, but I mean, once she attacks and she pluses you, the damage has been done. She's done her job. Let her go die. Salvage her maybe. Who knows? And like if you salvage her and then you trigger a pants, then next turn your opponent is like in deep shit again. So this Minami is just a terrific card. A very, very, very good card. What she can grab is a little limited, unlike, Shimakaze, where you can grab anything in your deck, or like Tachibana, where you can get stuff in your waiting room. But this Minami, like, there's no anti-searching in the game. There's anti-salvage, so like, multiple Tachibanas don't really work against anti-salvage. Stuff like that. So this one gets past like it gets past anti-salvage. It gives extra power to help you get the other climax combos off, or just helps you give more power just to, do things, or just to reverse your opponent's character. Just a very good card. The search is a little limited, yes. However, the extra power boost and the fact that she hits pretty high numbers for a 1-0 costless character, I say is the downsides are better. The upsides overshadow the downsides. So I would say staple card in blue. I would say run 4 and run 4 pants and run 4 books with the level 3 Danko. And like right off the bat, making blue Cinderella Girls should be really simple enough because there's just so many powerful blue cards in Cinderella Girls already. So a fantastic card. I don't think I need to say any more. And I highly recommend grabbing a playset if you're running Cinderella Girls. Next up, we got the KBYD members, 21AK KBYD Team, Sai, Music, and Wafuku. If you have a controller KBYD Sachiko and a KBYD Yuki on the stage, she gets -1 level in your hand. Next up is the 1-1 KBYD Sachiko, Music, and Cute. Assist all your music character in front of this key, plus 500 power at hand encore, and when you level up, choose one of your characters gets plus 1k until the end of the turn. And KBYD Yuki, we saw her last Friday. She's the one that on play you can like pay 1, discard a climax, and search a climax from your deck or something, add it to your hand. It was an okay card. Kind of weird how they didn't show Yuki. It's kind of weird how they didn't show Yuki with Sai and Sachiko. Like, why couldn't Bushiroad just release the 3 of them like together? Why'd they do them individually? Kind of weird, but oh well. These cards are okay. Sai, if you control Sachiko and Yuki, she loses 1 level in your hand, so she can't come out at level 1 if you have the other 2 on the field, which isn't too hard to fulfill because Sachiko herself is an assist. However, she is an assist, and she's not a bad assist either. She's a 500 in front assist, and she is a hand encore assist, which isn't too bad. Her secondary ability isn't that good because when you level up, you give a character plus 1k. You're only going to get this ability off twice throughout the entire match, because once you're level 1, you can only level up 2 more times because you'll be level 2 and then you'll be level 3, and of course if you level again, you lose the game. But so you can only use Sachiko's ability twice in a game, and it might not always be good for you. Like if your opponent is attacking you, and if you're leveling up from your opponent's attacks, giving the 1k power might not actually help you because your opponent might play around it and make it so that it does not benefit you. Or like it might just not matter. If you don't have a character to pump up, then it just completely whiffs and doesn't do anything for you. So the level up, her second effect isn't that good just because you don't have that much control over it, and like your opponent can play around it. like the only way you can really control this is like by clocking yourself or by like forcing yourself to refresh. Yeah, there may be situations where it can save one of your opponent's one of your characters. Like if your opponent is attacking you, you level up from their attack, then you can give like another character plus 1k. It can't help you in that situation, but there might not always be a situation where this ability will help you. And like I said, you can only use it twice in the game. So overall, I don't think it's very good. Just because, like I said, you don't have that much control over it, and even like your opponent can still play around it, and it might not even help you all that much. So she's okay still, just because she is indeed a 500 front assist and a hand encore assist. That's okay, but I just don't really like it. And she still dies to Wing Slayer, which is, I guess, kind of relevant because this Gaia is kind of unbanned. I mean, this Laharl is still hit, but the rest of the set isn't. I still don't see anyone run this Gaia besides. I still don't see people run this Gaia after the ban list lifting, but still something to keep in mind. She still dies to Wing Slayer. And this size, like, also the Yuki we saw last week, I don't think you should be running multiple Yukis. I would say if you're running Yuki, just run 1 or 2 of her. If you're running a lot of Yukis just to get this Saya off more consistently, I think you're hurting your deck more than good. So Saya is good if she comes out at level 1, but after level 1, at level 2 and level 3, she's just a super weak card. She's a 2/1 8k. That's it. Like, that's super bad. So I would say you're better off running other better cards. Cinderella Girls can handle themselves just fine at level 1, especially with this new Minami. Definitely they can handle themselves. They don't need to run this whole wombo combo. I would say ignore these trio. Don't run Sachiko if you want a hand encore assist. I would say you could run 1 or 2. And the Yuki herself, like I said last week, she's a fine tech card. You can run 1 or 2 of her, and I think that's all you should be running for the KBYD members. And that's it for that. Once again, the book. Or the pants, I'm sorry, the pants. Next up, another double R for Charlotte. 1045 double R. Something important, Takajo Jojiro, Superpower and Student Council. He's a fairly lackluster card. I don't really like this. Continuous ability. When this card is played from hand to stage, this card gains power plus X, where X is the number of superpower characters you control by 500. He has an accelerate. Lols. Of course he has an accelerate. During the start of your climax phase, you can accelerate. If you do, this card gains +1 level on the following ability until the end of the turn. Where when this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may choose one superpower character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. Man, Jojiro, I think, is he's not terrible, but I don't think he's double R worthy. Like, if he was just an R, I would have been totally okay. I'm like, okay, like whatever. It's a decent R, but like for this card to be a double R, like, oh come on, Bushiroad, really? Well, not every double R can be good, but still, like, this guy, come on. Anyways, I would say he's definitely going to be one of the crappy double R's in Charlotte. But I mean, so when he's played from hand to stage, he gets 500 power per superpower for superpower characters you control. Of course, he includes himself, so with a full field, he'll be a 107k, which is okay, but that's like not that impressive. And for him to be pretty decent, you have to accelerate, so you have to clock yourself. And it's not too bad. Like at early to mid level 1, that's not too bad, but starting like late level 2 and definitely at level 3, you definitely don't want to start considering. Definitely don't want to use this ability because it's not that good, or clocking yourself is not worth it. Like, he gains a level, so he can't get suicided, but it's just like, who really cares? And when he kills a character, you get to salvage. When he kills something, you get to salvage a character. Like, the numbers he hits isn't that high. He only hits 7k. That's not that impressive. And also, you have to clock yourself before reversing the opponent's character. And so, if your opponent backs up against him, like, if you climax phase, accelerate, you attack. He's like let's say he's 107k, because you played him with a full field. You have 2 500 globals, he's a 108k. Your opponent backs up, oh, well, you clocked yourself for nothing. Great. And then, that's it. And let's say you play him, but you don't want to accelerate, then he's just a pretty lackluster 1-0. He's a 107k. If he kills something, that's great. But next turn, he's just a 1045, so he's super paper thin, and it's just like, whatever. At least Minami, yeah, she's paper thin, but her climax combo, you don't have to clock yourself. Her climax combo is amazing. You plus and you give extra power. That's just super good. Like how come Jojiro couldn't be like that? Like they reveal Minami and Jojiro on the same day. They're both double R's. How come Jojiro couldn't be really good like Minami, you know? This I'm just a little disappointed in this card. A little disappointing, like it's just like, oh, really good. Oh, really bad. And they're both like really similar. They're both kind of similar cards. I'm not saying Jojiro is terrible, but I don't think he's double R worthy. And like he's not that bad. So like he's playable, but I don't really like it, and I don't think it's very good. So here's hoping to better 1-0s in Charlotte because I don't think Jojiro makes the cut. 001500 comment. Oh my god, more terrible cards. I remember this one. This one is just god awful. Superpower and Student Council, of course. When this card reverses his opponent in battle, or when this card is reversed in battle, and the level of the character battling opponent is level 0 or lower, you can return one of his battling characters to his hand, then he discards a card. And then this Yusa has a climax phase change. During the start of your climax phase, you can pay costs, put it to waiting room. If you do, choose one expression of Glee Misa from your waiting room and put it to the original border of this card. Expression of Glee Misa is of course the next card here, 001500R. Expression of Glee Misa, superpower and death. Continuous ability, all your superpower characters gain plus 500 power. And same thing, she changes. Start a climax phase change, put it to waiting room. If you do, change into the visiting Nishimori Yusa, and that's it. So Yusa, pretty. I don't think you guys need me to explain this, but terrible, 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 terrible card. Level 0 Suicider, yes. However, when it suicides, your opponent gets the character back to their hand, then they discard a card. You pretty much give that level 0 character hand encore. If they want to save it, they could discard anything in their hand. They could discard a climax, discard a level 3, and then next turn they can just play it again, and then you have to deal with it again. So it doesn't get rid of the problem, and that's just awful. It doesn't get rid of the problem, and you give your opponent a chance to discard cards that they don't want in their hand, which is like good for your opponent. So overall, I would say this card hurts you, the player, more than the opponent. So don't run any unless you want to be a troll. But definitely, I would advise running 0. If you get any, burn her. Just burn it. Just because that's what her sister would do. If her sister saw Yusa, if Misa saw Yusa, then she just burn her because this card is just terrible. Anyways, Expression of Glee Misa, however, is a pretty solid card. She is a 500 global, which is good, and that's it. Like, if only this Misa could change into another card. Why did she have to change to this god-awful, terrible card? But no, she changes into the really bad Yusa. Like I said, don't run any Yusas. However, run 3 to 4 Misas because... I would say 2 to 4 Misas because she is an excellent assist because she's 500 global. And like I said many times, if your set has a 500 global, you should probably be running it because 500 globals are really good. Next up, 00500 common, Great Excitement Takajo Jojiro, Superpower and Student Council. Oh yeah, this god-awful effect as well. When this card is placed from hand to stage, you can pay cost, which is discard a climax. If you do, search your deck for up to one character with change ability shown to your opponent added to your hand and shuffle your deck. Man, I mean... Love Live had this ability 4 times. They had it with Maki, they had it with Honoka, they had it with Nico. Only 3 times? No, I'm pretty sure there's one more character with this ability. Anyways, Love Live has this ability. It's a pretty terrible ability. There's a reason why no Love Live decks ever run this ability, because it's total ass. This Jojiro should be no exception. You're better off running a generic searcher, because it's just better. Jojiro, super low power. You have to discard a climax, and you have to grab a character with a change ability. I mean, that might not be too bad in the set, because there is a lot of change in the set with the whole Yusa and Misa changing wombo combo that they're doing. He might be, like, compared to Love Live, this might be actually better because of how change focused this series is with the whole Yusa and Misa thing. But still, I think you're better off just like salvaging them or like brainstorming them or drawing into them, because this Jojiro, I don't know. It's not good in Love Live, so I don't think it'll be good in Charlotte. But Charlotte has way more change than Love Live because of the whole Yusa to Misa thing. So maybe, actually, now that the more I think about it, maybe it's actually playable in this series. Okay, maybe I retract my statement. We'll see. We're kind of cheating a little because this one is late, but next week there's a whole lot of Yusa and Misa cards, and like I said, the whole Yusa and Misa, they always change into each other. And if you're running like a Yusa and Misa heavy deck, then this Jojiro is actually not too bad because he becomes a on play discard a climax to search anything with your deck from your deck to your hand because both Yusa and both Misa have changed because they are changing into each other. Unlike a normal set like Love Live, where you have to grab the changer and not the change target. In this series, the change target and the changer both work because they keep changing to each other. So we'll see if I actually did this review on the 15th of October, I would have said it's terrible. But because I'm doing this late and I know more of the series, I actually think this card is not too bad, depending on how you build your deck. So we'll see. I mean, he might actually be a decent a tech one of because of how many change there is in this series. So we'll keep our eyes out for how good this Jojiro can be. But definitely, I would say maybe a tech one or two of. Lastly, 2-1 Hatsunetsu Days Nishimura Yusa Superpower and Student Council combos with the stock 1 soul here. Yeah, stock 1 soul, climax common. When this card declares an attack with the climax Howl Low Hello on your climax border, you can pay cost, which is 1. If you do, choose one character in your waiting room, add it to your hand, and all your superpower characters get plus 1k until the end of the turn. Not too shabby. It's not that great. 2-1 AK. She's super low power. The climax combo is relatively cheap because the stock 1 soul does mitigate the fact that she has to pay 1 for a climax combo. When you do, she don't have to reverse anything, so yeah, she's low power, but it's not that bad because she doesn't have to actually kill something. All she does is have to attack, and when you do, you get to salvage a superpower, and then all your characters get plus 1k. It's okay, but like, you know, definitely not the strongest climax combo, and Yusa herself is really weak. If you don't have the climax in your hand, this Yusa is a very underwhelming card in your hand. So it's not a bad climax combo, I'd say, but I'd say I'm sure there'll be better climax combo than this. Like, there has to be better climax combo than this Yusa. So overall, it's not bad on paper. It's okay when you get it off. But if you don't get it off, then this Yusa is just really bad. Really bad. I would say just run better climax combos and you know, just don't run this Yusa. And that's it for Thursday. And Friday, lastly, the last day. Man, this is really long. 2-1-7-5 uncommon, my first star Uzuki music. When your other red characters declare an attack, she gets plus 1k power. And then she combos with the gate, which is star. When this card reverses its opponent in battle with the climax star on your climax border, you can deal 1 to your opponent. This Uzuki is okay. Actually, no, it's not that good. It's 2-1-7-5, so extremely underwhelming. When your other 2 red characters attack, she gets plus 1k, so it should be 2-1-9-5, which is like whatever. And she combos with the gate. Her comboing with the gate isn't too bad, because like I said, gate is gate, and gate is always good. And when you reverse your opponent's character, you deal 1 to your opponent, which isn't too bad, because it's costless, and, you know, dealing extra damage to your opponent is always appreciated. However, we saw another gate combo last week with the level 3 Chieri and the level 3 Kanako, or Kanako? I don't remember her name, but with the level assist, that one combos with the gate, and I think that climax combo is better than Uzuki's, and because of that, I would say just stick to that gate. Like, just run Candy Island gate combo over this one Uzuki climax combo, because I think the Chieri and the Kanako climax combo is actually pretty good. So if you wanted to run a gate climax combo, I would say run theirs. I guess if you want to run 8 gates, you could run like Candy Island's gate climax combo, and I guess you could run like 4 of this gate, and you could run like 1 or 2 Uzukis. If you're running this gate and you really want to run this Uzuki, I would say run 1 or 2 of these Uzukis if you really wanted to. Even if you're running this gate, I don't think you should be running this Uzuki. It's just like whatever. Red already has a pretty good way to game end. Like at level 2, you could be playing level 3 Anzu instead of this level 2 Uzuki, you know? And at level 3, you could be game ending with like level 3 Chieri instead of like and you could use like the combo with Kanako and with Chiri to get huge power and to put something back on top of the deck. Uh, so I'd say there's a lot better options than this Uzuki. But if you really want to run 8 gates and make yourself really susceptible to anti salvage, you can run one or two, you can run the gate and you can run like maybe run 2 Uzukis if you want, but I don't recommend it. I think there's better options. So, but yeah, that's it. I don't advise running it. I'd say you can run 1 or 2 if you run 4 of these gates, but do keep in mind they already have a really good gate combo. Next up, the last couple of cards for Charlotte. 102KR, having a meal together, Otosaka Yu, Superpower, and Student Council. When you use, first of all, he's a 1k backup, and when you use his backup, if all your characters are superpower trait, choose one battling character that gets plus 1k power until the end of the turn. So it's a 102k backup. Like I said many times, if your series has a 102k backup, run it because it's as good as it gets, unless you're Milky Home, but Milky Homes doesn't count. So this one is no exception. Should be easy enough to have a full character of superpowers. I guess the only way this won't go off is if you run something like this girl. But, do keep that in mind. So you need to have a full character of superpower traits, which, like I said, should be easy enough. So definitely a solid, grab a playset of these if you're running Charlotte, because it's really good. Next up, 1500 common supporter Kumagami, superpower trait. When this card is played from your stage to your waiting room, oh really, stage to waiting room, okay. From stage to waiting room, you can pay cost, which is 2. If you do, switch your deck from 1 superpower character, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Kumagami, of course, very fitting of him. He's the guy who finds everyone. When he's sent from stage to waiting room, pay 2, and then search a superpower character, add it to your hand. Not too bad. Pay 2 to search or pay 2 to salvage. I'm personally a fan of those abilities. I think they're quite nice. So I personally like this Kumagami. If you like these pay 2 search / pay 2 salvage cards, then this card is not bad because he is a pay 2 search or salvage. So definitely not a bad card. If you want to run him, run 1 or 2 and you should be fine. But definitely a player's choice card. Definitely not a staple card. I really wish this Kumagami was from hand to stage, because everything we've seen in Charlotte so far is slow. Like this Nana or this Now, you can't. It's not fast. It's slow. You have to wait a whole turn to get the benefits. This Jojiro, when you salvage, you have to wait a turn. Same thing with the Yusa. You have to wait a turn because it's a climax combo. And level 0 U, when he searches, you have to wait a turn because he's on reverse. So I wish this Kumagami was from hand to stage, because this be like the only fast searcher that the series got. That's not like the 2-2 pizza sauce event, So I really wish this was a on-play search, but it's not. What can you do? Still, it still doesn't change my opinion. Definitely a tech card if you're on 1 or 2. Definitely up to the player. Next up, 2-1 AK uncommon. The world is not here. Otosaka Yu, superpower and student council. This is a very interesting card. When this card has a marker under it, it gains plus 1k and it cannot directly attack. As another ability, when this card is played from hand to stage, you can pay cost, which is pay 1, discard a card. If you do, return all cards in your waiting room to your deck, shuffle your deck, and place the top card underneath this card to serve as a marker. So, free refresh. I was hoping that this series would get free refresh, because if you guys watch the show, it's got the whole time traveling element, and of course, just like Homuda from Madoka, since Homuda can time travel and can have free refresh, why can't you have free refresh? Because he's a time traveler as well. However, he's not the time traveler that I hope for him to be. He is not exactly your typical free refresh. He is a free refresh indeed. However, his free refresh is very expensive. You have to pay 1 for you himself, and you have to pay an extra 1, and you have to discard a card for him to free refresh. So it is heavier. You're paying an extra 1 and discarding a card to free refresh, as opposed to a typical free refresh like Onodera or Homuda or Mid Boss. Definitely much different from those. However, there are a couple benefits to this. Is that you don't have to wait till you have 5 cards left in your deck. If you had like a really bad refresh, or you cancel too much and you don't want to constantly brainstorm to refresh, you can just play this U and pay 1 and discard, and then you can thus get your free refresh off. Also, the fact that discarding a card is part of his cost, it can help you discard excess climaxes before you refresh, which is quite nice because when you do play him, you are going to refresh, and if you are going to refresh, you would like to, if you have that extra climax in your hand, getting rid of that would be very nice would be very nice, and you helps you accomplish that. So, has its upsides, has its downsides. Overall, if you're running blue, I would consider running one or two of this U because in the end, it is free refresh, and you aren't taking the refresh damage, and not taking like 2 or 3 refresh damage throughout the game is such a huge deal. And like I said with the U, the two ways that Charlotte can go, I think in the heal and compress build, you're healing and compressing, and every refresh damage that you're not taking goes a pretty long way into the level 3 game. And so if you're focused on healing and compressing and canceling, then not taking refresh damage would be really good. And this U fits that criteria. So I think he's really good because of the fact that you get to dodge refresh damage, and if your game plan is to heal all day, then this U will help you accomplish that. So overall, I would say he's not the greatest. I think it would have been better if the series got a normal free refresher, but it doesn't. What can you do? You gotta make do with what you got, and he's not terrible, so you could run one or two, and I think it'll be okay. Next up, Glasses Guy again. 2175, Idle Otaku Glasses Guy. Superpower and Student Council. Accelerate, of course. During the start of your climax phase during the start of your climax phase, you can pay cost, which is Accelerate. If you do, gains plus 3k until the end of your opponent's next turn. Terrible, 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 terrible card. Because of the fact that you have Ayumi, there is no reason you should play Ayumi. There's no reason you should play Takajo over Ayumi. Ayumi hits the same power, she hits 10-5, she heals on play, she just has an extra condition, which is easy enough to fulfill. So why play a 2-1, and she costs an extra stock, but who cares? Why play a 2-1 that becomes 10-5 by taking 1 damage, when you can play a 3-2 that heals and is 10-5. So you get a 10-5 that heals instead of taking 1 damage, and she hits for 2 soul, and she's great at level 3, as opposed to Jojiro, where he's only okay at level 2. So overall, this card is completely outshadowed by Ayumi. So overall, Jojiro is complete trash. And that is all for this week. An hour and 21-minute video. Man, what a video. But we've been through a lot of cards this week. A lot of interesting cards. I hope I explained them well enough. I hope I got everything I needed to say out to you guys, because I think this was a fairly difficult week, but nonetheless, we went through it all, and overall, I would say it's a very, 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 very interesting week. The final week for Cinderella Girls, and of course, they showed a couple very good cards for the final week, to no surprise. And Charlotte, we saw some very key cards in the Charlotte series, and a couple strong cards that defined the set. So, Mika, like I said, I don't think it's the greatest card, but I really like it. I like this card a lot, so that's just me. Now, I think if you're going the normal, if you go like a build where it's like normal and you don't run the level 0 U, then this now is definitely going to be really good, because she is just an excellent card. Ayumi, both great in both builds. So Ayumi is definitely going to be one of the double R's you really want to get, because I think she works in both builds, both the normal build and both the heal and compress build. This level 1 Ayumi, I think is really good. Can force your opponent to take refresh damage, and lots of situations where she can be interesting, and I think it's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, because you can force your opponent to take a lot of refresh damage, and since refresh damage is not an auto ability, if you force your opponent to take a lot of refresh damage while you have this U out, it's kind of like your game ending. But you're not, but you kind of are, because you're making your opponent take refresh damage, and that is still damage, so you're kind of game ending. So I think, I forgot to mention, but I think this U, or this Ayumi with this U, can have some pretty interesting synergy at the end game for game ending potential. So I forgot to mention that. If you guys are still here, I hope you guys, I hope you guys are still here to hear that. Anyways, Dean, excellent level 0. Now I think it's bad. I don't like this Kaden at all. Producer, if you're running enough drinks, go for it. Anzu's a pretty good card. Yu, good card. Or very exciting good card. Now, it's interesting, and I hope it turns out to be good. But like I said, a lot of downsides and a lot of upsides. I like this card a lot, but maybe just run one or two. You don't even have to run any. Probably better off not running any, but we'll see. Minami, excellent, 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 excellent card. Size, whatever. Sachiko's, don't, whatever. Jojiro, come on, Jojiro. Step up your game, bro. You gotta get an OP card, man. But this card, I'm fairly disappointed in it, and I don't really like this card. So, I don't like this card. Terrible, terrible, terrible card. Probably the worst card we saw this week. Misa, it's decent. Jojiro, if I reviewed this card on the actual day, I would have said it's bad. But because it's the 25th, he might actually have potential. This card, run better climax combos. Izuki, it's okay. It's overshadowed by the Candy Island climax combo, in my opinion. But, I mean, if you're running 8 gates, you could run 1. Staple. Kumagami's okay. This card is okay. I personally think it's pretty good. So I would run 1 or 2. But that's just me personally. Jojiro's complete crap. And that is all for this video, guys. My throat is in a lot of pain. So I'll leave it at that. I kept you guys here long enough. And if you guys are still here, thank you for watching. And until next time, guys.